Hello and welcome to the first Baltimore College Debate YouTube coaching session. Today we're going to be talking about how to choose an affirmative for this year's middle engagement with the Middle East topic. There are several affirmatives that we have available at bcdcoop.wikispaces.com that you can go and get and start using, but today we're going to talk about how to choose which one of those. There's 4 areas you want to remember when you're choosing an affirmative. The first is pick an area that you're interested in. It could either be the harm area or the advantage areas or the solvency mechanism, but pick something that you're interested in and that your research will be continued, that you can continue to use it in. The second is look at the existing work that is already done. If you are starting from scratch, you have to do a lot more work in order to get ready for the tournament September 15th and 16th. But if you want to use some of the work that's already done, you can either build from there or build a new idea out of it. The third idea is pick something that is strategic and that will shape debates the way that you want them to. You can look at this by seeing what the advantages are and the way that the debate is sort of framed, and we'll talk about that in relationship to each of the affirmatives. Finally, think about what your relationship to the topic is going to be. Do you want to affirm it straight up? Do you want to come at it from a side approach, or do you want to totally ignore the topic altogether? If you keep those 4 things in mind as we're going through the available affirmatives, then it should make it easier to pick one. Also, if you have any questions about this, you can contact me at andy@baltimorecollegedebate.org. With that being said, let's go through the 5 affirmatives. The first one is a Hamas affirmative. This engages the government of the Gaza Strip. When the topic was written, Hamas, which is a Palestinian group, was part of the Palestinian government, but since then they've come out of the government. This affirmative will deal with the Palestine question and will deal with the question of what U.S. policy should be by saying that even if we had previously considered Hamas a terrorist group, we should now engage them. More information about Hamas and about the general situation in Palestine can be learned by looking at the file Hamas Affirmative, available at bcdcoop.wikispaces.com. The advantages that this claims are peace process, or Israeli-Palestinian peace process, and also urban geopolitics, which argues that in the world in which city-states and movements out of cities have become almost like states at some point, we have to have a new form of politics. I think this is an interesting argument that can grow out of this affirmative, and I'll talk more into a special session about urban geopolitics in the next few days. The other thing about this advantage is that this affirmative is that it is not directly related to the topic per se. You have to have a little bit of a framework debate in order to be able to argue that it's something that you should be able to do. The next affirmative is an Iraq affirmative. It is a good way to engage the debate about whether or not the United States should be involved in Iraq, how quick the pullout should be, what will happen as a result. So if you have people who are interested on your campus on discussing that, or if you're interested, that's a good debate. It basically engages Iran and Syria in order to by pulling United States troops out of Iraq. It is perhaps topical, perhaps not. I think you'll have to have that debate with it, but what it is, even if you don't end up using it, is a very good file about the benefits and drawbacks of removing U.S. troops from Iraq. The third affirmative is a Syria-Israel affirmative. This offers that the United States will help mediate the controversy on the Golan Heights, will help back Syria's claim that they should have the right to that land, and will, in the meantime, demand that Syria stop supporting terrorist groups such as Hezbollah and Hamas. The argument is that Middle East peace can only be reached if Syria is involved in it, and for Syria to be involved, there has to be a resolution to the Golan Heights. For there to be a resolution to the Golan Heights question, Syria has to stop backing terrorist groups, otherwise Israel won't support it. So this is a relatively mainstream affirmative that has very big peace process impacts. If you want to stick to the center of the topic, or if you want to deal with the Israel question but not necessarily as it relates to Palestine, then this is a very good app. There's also an Iran affirmative. The Iran affirmative offers a grand bargain to Iran that is perhaps the most topical affirmative on the topic. It says that the United States won't attack Iran and will begin to engage it if Iran gives up its nuclear weapons program. I think that the advantages to this are a larger Middle East war and stuff that you can very easily research in a lot of places. It's a sort of daily story in the paper, the United States engagement with Iran, and I think that even if you don't choose this affirmative, a lot of other people will be choosing it. Finally, there's an Afghan poppies aff. This aff is a way to sort of intervene in the drug trade that's been going on in Afghanistan since the United States invasion. The Taliban has shifted its stance on poppies, and now Afghanistan is the largest producer of illegal drugs in the world. This aff looks to legalize the drugs that are coming out of there for medical purposes in an attempt to sort of stop the influence that terrorists and warlords get through selling Afghan poppies. It claims all sorts of advantages within Afghanistan. It also claims AIDS advantages from around the world, and it claims sex trafficking advantages because the money that comes from heroin is used to fund terrorism, is used to fund the insurgency, and is used to fund sex trafficking. I think that this aff also has possibility to talk about the United States' role in the drug trade as it relates to foreign policy. I think you could make connections between the crack cocaine epidemic in the United States and funding of groups in South America for that. And I think that you could talk more broadly about the way that the United States interacts and has interacted with drugs for a long time. So these are 5 affs that are available. I know this is a really detailed sort of approach to them, but each of them covers a different area, and each of them is a good starting point for you to begin looking at for this year's topic. I think that if you are interested in the most developed argument in the packet, that's probably the Iran aff or the Afghan poppies aff. I think that the Syria-Israel argument is good and will be run by a lot of people. The Hamas and the Iraq aff are interesting, but they definitely need some more work to be done on them before they can be run. Now, you have about 3 weeks before the tournament, and if you plan on debating September 15th and 16th, you should have an affirmative chosen relatively soon so that you can begin to figure out what holes it has, what problems it has, and what you need to do to be able to be ready to debate with it. I think that in future 10-minute sessions we will talk about how to get the aff ready and how to go to the next step, how to have 2 ACs, and how to have strategic arguments written. And we'll also have another session about what the novice affirmative will be. There will be one of these that by the end of the week we have chosen to sort of teach novices the basics of debate. So all of that will be coming, but continue to watch these 10-minute shows and continue to use them as an opportunity to see what is available. We'll get into more depth as we go into the season. I'll do 10 minutes about each of these various affs, and I'll also do 10 minutes probably later in the day about generic negative strategies that you can use as well. All of these files again are available at bcdcoop.wikispaces.com, and throughout the year we'll continue to add new files to that collaborative learning space so that there are always a set of files that people in the BCD can use and that we can reference as we have these 10-minute coaching sessions. That's it for today, and thank you, and I will see you all soon.